you will get married again. I think maybe the first person who said it that I was willing to listen to, because everyone else, I was like, what do you know? Please get out of my face. But he was like, you will get married again. As a matter of fact, he said, you must.
You must
He
get
was
married
like,
again.
you're too young. He's like, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? He's like, what are you going to do with all these feelings and all these emotions and all these urges? Where do you think they're going to go to? They're not going anywhere. They're not going to suddenly disappear. And I was like, you what? God doesn't take them away when he takes your spouse? Why not? And that was such a learning curve as well. And some people are basically laundering money with like whatever entertainment they tell you they're doing.
Damn.
Like some people they say they're musicians, but they're just using it to rinse money. You know, some people say, and I'm not gonna, and I'm not saying that this is something that is peculiar. Yes, I know that, there's the whole like, internet fraud jokes that we have made, but anyone who knows anything about anything knows now that that isn't something that only Nigerians or only Africans do. Like, there's a lot of scamming on
That
the
goes
internet,
on.
in the industry.
Yeah.
And some of it is very, like, fancy, high-level scamming as well. Sometimes they finesse you into signing your life away. There's that. And yes, they say, oh, it's just business. But sometimes there are people literally doing creative accounting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's why I always tell artists, first thing I tell artists is, if you're using an investor, a label, just make sure someone is doing your own accounting.
Yeah. Hey fam, welcome back to Taking Up Space with me, Lady T. Hope you are well. Listen, this series, brand new series, is about getting to know individuals and sharing their insights on the space they operate in. So types of spaces could be health, business, entertainment, well-being, and the list goes on. We look at their journey and how they navigate that space as a Christian. My guest today is a formidable entertainment lawyer, consultant, educator, content creator, speaker in various areas of law. She provides specialist entertainment law services, strategic counseling on copyright. If you don't know copyright, then maybe you might want to holler at her at some point. Trademarks, IP, royalties, to name a few. She's also a grief counselor with her organization, FLIT, which is Finding Light in the Tunnel, which provides support for young widows and widowers via counseling. Also provide emotional support. This also includes hosting events and fundraising. Ladies and gents, please help me welcome the awesome, the dynamically beautiful Folakemi Falana.
Hi, T. You're gassing me now.
Listen, this is what I have to gas you. Like, come on, let's give you your flowers. And I think I'm gonna do this every single episode now. Gotta give you your flowers because you work so hard. Each and every one of us, we work so hard.
Yeah.
We do things, but then when we get praised and be like, yo, take stock of what you've done, it's just like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Take it in, soak it in, brag about it.
Don't be shy about it.
Exactly. Don't be shy whatsoever, and be proud of what, how far you've come, the things you've achieved. Like, hello, we need to leave this world empty.
I agree.
Right?
100%.
Exactly. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about today because you fall into two categories of this series, which is amazing. But I know I want to focus on one particular part. So we'll dive into you being an entertainment lawyer first. How did you get into that real quickly? Was it something that you've always wanted to do, or was it just like,
So, I've always been a fan of the arts. I did drama in secondary school. Even did a bit of singing and a bit of drama in primary school as well.
Yeah.
And then in university, I was in a band with one of my really good friends who is still an artist to this day. But we used to do music and spoken word. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyone who went to Buckingham University when I was there might know a thing about or two about Phoebe. That's what our band was called.
Phoebe.
Yeah.
What does Phoebe stand for?
Phoebe was Folakemi and Toby. So,
Oh, okay. Phoebe.
Phoebe.
Okay. I see
Yeah.
it. Nice.
So yeah, so music has always been sort of, I think, just like growing up, we were exposed to music. So my siblings and I have always loved music. So it wasn't an accident that my brother ended up becoming a full-time musician.
So let's pause on that before she's. I know she's gonna casually breeze through that,
Oh my
but
God, that's not why we're here.
we're not. But let's give him the flowers a little bit. You know, she not only does Folakemi come from a family
a
long line of lawyers, but also entertainers. Now her brother is, if you don't know who he is, you will find out today. Goes by the name of Fowles. So find out about Fowles. If you know Fowles, then yeah, this is the big sis. And then Fowles is the artist of the family, full-time artist. So yeah, big up to him.
But he was a lawyer and just full on 360 was like he was doing law in the day, music at night, but full on was like, I'm facing this music thing. So I think that exposed me even more to music because I had dabbled in uni, but my should I say my band member he went off to do music full time, but I was like,
not really me.
So it's not that it wasn't me because I actually miss it and I love singing, but I think the part I was going to struggle with was like the fame, the being in the limelight, being in people's faces, because I like to do my own thing and just chill sometimes and just not be like, I'm still struggling with like people seeing me out and be like, oh my God, I recognize you from your content, or oh, I know you from Instagram. I'm just like,
but that's what you get for putting yourself out there, so it's expected.
So that part I knew I was going to struggle with. Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, let's just, I focused on the law and, became a lawyer. But because I had friends who were, in the industry, actors, musicians, so it wasn't something that was alien to me. And then my brother went like full on headfirst into it. So, I started seeing a lot of things that were happening in the industry. And I was like, hang on, actually, there's an intersection here between two things that I think, are like in my blood, quite literally. Because, and I say in my blood with the music thing because my dad, like, used to sing. So my dad almost became a priest. Like, I almost wasn't born. My dad was, he was raised priest. Catholic. He was raised Catholic, so he sang in the seminary. But my dad was Fela Kuti's lawyer.
Stop it.
For real.
The Fela Kuti.
The Fela
wow.
Kuti. The originator and king of Afrobeats.
Wow.
But so he was Fela's lawyer. So I think it kind of was inevitable in a sense that that all three of us will end up in entertainment law and journalism because my dad was studying he was studying journalism. He was studying I think he was studying English to become a journalist. But then after coming in contact with Gani Farimi, he
pivoted. He's like,
study law.
We're gonna get this way.
This is what I want to do with my life. He became a lawyer, but so he was Fela's lawyer, and of course he was. There are videos of my dad at like shows and stuff. Shows like holding the mic and stuff. So like it's not alien. And my dad played a lot of like Fela when we're growing up, but also just generally a lot of music. We were exposed to music. So yeah, I think it was inevitable that I would find myself, being an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoy it. Honestly,
I can imagine because if only I enjoyed reading for long periods of time and stuff like that, maybe I could have become an entertainment lawyer. Who knows? But all these books and laws and this and
honestly,
knowing the basics for me. Yeah, knowing the basics for me, what you're entitled to and all that kind of stuff. I'm good, but the details.
Honestly, I don't think anyone is walking around with the details in their head. Yeah, I find myself constantly doing research because the law is dynamic as well. Like every day something new happens.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's
so
always a tweak.
so
There's always something
I'm reading every day.
every
Every single
day.
day I'm reading something. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, so for someone who wants to get into entertainment law, what would be your tips for them? And especially with being a Christian as a lawyer, because there must be some moral things that get almost want to compromise on. So how do
100%.
you
100%. I mean, I would tell you a very interesting conundrum that you will face. Um some people are basically laundering money with like whatever entertainment they tell you they're doing.
damn.
Like some people are, they say they're musicians, but they're just using it to rinse money. Some people say, and I'm not gonna and I'm not saying that this is something that is peculiar. Yes, I know that there's the whole like internet fraud jokes that we have made, but anyone who knows anything about anything knows now that that isn't something that only Nigerians or only Africans do. Like there's a lot of scamming on
That
the
goes
internet
on.
in the
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah, yeah.
and some of it is very like fancy high level scamming as well. Sometimes they finesse you into signing your life away. There's that. And yes, they say, oh, it's just business, but sometimes there are people literally doing creative accounting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's why I always tell artists, first thing I tell artists is, if you're using an investor, a label, just make sure someone is doing your own accounting.
Yeah, rather than
Because
they are.
some people are doing creative accounting and telling you, oh, you this is how much I invested, this is how much you owe me. But really, they don't owe you that much. So, there's money laundering, there's things like, creative accounting, but and let's be honest, you're basically stealing someone's sweat, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then, and I'm not just talking about, oh, you signed a deal that you didn't get proper advice on. That's business. That's different. I'm talking about people who say, oh, this is how much we spent on you this year, but it's not true.
Wow.
There's a very and maybe I'll post this after this interview. There's a very famous video of Chameleon. You remember that
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
who
yeah,
sings
yeah,
They
yeah,
See
yeah,
Me
yeah.
Rolling?
Yeah.
He said that he found out that his label had basically kept, like, he just said, let me hire an accountant. And he hadn't even started really digging in, but he found well over 200 and what was it, $50,000 that they had just like refused to
Give him.
give back that he made.
Wow.
So you really have to be on your thing, like really be on your thing. And also, there's things like recently in the news there were these guys who were they were doing, I guess you could call it internet fraud as well, but no, it's not. It wasn't Nigerian people. It was people on British soil scamming music fans, selling them fake tickets. Yeah, it was a big case. They were prosecuted. It was but the sad thing is it was a lot of money. Like
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, you're taking people's hard-earned cash.
yeah, money
from
that they
them.
I
Yeah.
mean you're basically burning people from both ends because you're stealing from the artist, but you're stealing from the fans as
Yeah,
well.
from the consumer of
Right.
the artist and stuff.
But yeah,
So I guess as a lawyer, you have to be mindful of those things. But
Yeah.
then, how does that being in that industry as a Christian, like how how do you navigate that? Because like I said, morality is involved here, and there's a lot of. So is it that you have to turn a blind eye, or you have to apply wisdom,
I
or
mean,
is it,
I,
do you get
can't
what I
tell
mean?
anybody what to do, but I have a rule. If it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So I mean, I try and do my due diligence. Of course, sometimes you really just don't know, and you know how much getting into people's business can you really do. So sometimes you really will have no idea, and that's okay then if you really don't know. But if you know that the money is shady, and you're taking it, you are exposing yourself not only, spiritually, because that's a different issue, but also uh you could get in, you could get arrested.
Because I
Like,
guess I love the way you just said that. You open yourself up spiritually because you effectively taking part in
yeah,
activities that are
yes,
not,
yeah. You're saying that
they're not godly,
they're
they're not
not
biblical
godly.
words at all.
And
So it's
however dress you want to put on it is sin.
yeah.
And this is the problem. You start you start with, oh well, it wasn't me that took the money. And then before you know it, you're okay with like creative accounting and changing zeros, or not declaring certain things, and before you know it,
Gone. Yeah. So guys, just I guess lead with conviction and lead with Holy Spirit. I guess you got to apply the Holy Spirit in
yeah.
everything that
and
you do.
and like your intuition is there for a reason. The Holy Spirit is there for a reason. If you're anything you're uncomfortable about, don't do it. And
Yeah.
there's something, that some of my, friends who are intimate lawyers say, and they say, look, not everyone is your client, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay
Mm.
with that.
I'm like that
I've
with
had people full on
yeah.
point blank tell me that, oh, I I've been doing fraud, but I want to turn a new leaf, and I want to really start doing music now. Yeah, I've had that.
Ha,
Yeah.
God.
So
Yeah. Not every client, not every job is a client that you need to take on board, which is interesting. Okay. All right. Switching gears from being an entertainment lawyer to something else that you're very passionate about, which
yep.
is FLIT, which is finding light in the tunnel. And this came about because of something quite, where is it? Quite drastic that happened. I don't know
And
if the word
jarring,
drastic. Yeah, something deep that happened, which was life
life
changing.
altering.
That's the word, life altering that happened. So tell us the journey to FLIT, how it all started.
So FLIT stands for finding light in the tunnel, and the idea is that you're in a dark tunnel and you have to somehow find the light in there somewhere, because it's always there. It's hard to see sometimes, but it's there all the time. So I started FLIT because almost 11 years ago now, I was, a newlywed, happy, living a great life. Um, we had gone on holiday with my side of the family, so we're gonna spend Christmas and I think New Year's, in Dubai. So it was my sister. It was supposed to be my mom, my sister, my brother, my dad. But my brother and my dad were gonna join us on another plane.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think my brother's visa was, for some reason, hadn't come through, so they were still back home. But we had been in Dubai a few days. Um,
How old were you when you got married? Then
26.
okay,
Yeah,
26.
26.
Okay.
I think 26 going on 27, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you
So
were 2 years married, or 3 years married at this
oh
point.
no, we literally were in the first year.
First year of
Yeah,
marriage.
as a matter of fact, it was going to be a first year anniversary. That Yeah, like that trip was also to celebrate our first year anniversary,
Wow.
because we got
Okay.
married in December.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. Cool. Let's continue from that.
So we had been married a year at this point. So I think I think I was about to turn 27, or just, yeah,
Mm.
something like that. Or still, or maybe even still 26. I don't remember, because I think we got married in December and my birthday is in July. But something like that, one of those ages. And one minute we're on holiday, having a great time. The next thing is like, oh, I don't feel so good. And we were like, oh, where's the best hospital in Dubai? And they sent us there, and it was good. They did everything they should have. I mean, unless there's something that happened that I didn't know, which I very much doubt. I think sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes it's just time, I think. And obviously, it's always difficult to understand because you're like, that doesn't make any sense. This isn't, I've been told that we have the power of life and death in our mouths. So I've been
So you've
told
been
that
speaking
I
life.
can
You've
raise the
speaking
dead,
life.
right? And so he's in hospital for less than 2 days. I kid you not. And at no point is he like on life support. He's not on oxygen. He doesn't look like deathly. Literally just looks like someone
Fit
that
and
just
healthy.
needs
They just need rest.
Yeah. And literally that, And I should do a segue at this point because I do not want to forget this because this is such an important conversation. I feel like as Black people, because Black and brown people, because Asian people have this as well, but we don't talk enough about genetic testing, but also what that can mean, and what it means living with certain blood types and blood conditions. So, to be very fair to this very thorough human being I married, he knew he had been born with, with a genetic condition. So, just quick biology lesson. Again, I want to do this for 2 minutes because I feel like a lot of people think that so there's blood groups, there's genotypes, right? Not everyone knows that there's genotypes and there's blood groups.
Yeah.
Your blood group is A-O, A positive,
O positive,
O negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's important because there's universal donors, there's universal recipients. Some people can't take certain bloods. That's why that's important. There's also your rhesus factor. So again, your blood group is important because of that. Because if you marry someone who is a certain if you marry someone who is a certain blood group different from yours, their first pregnancy will result. I don't think it's might. I think it's most likely. Like I don't know what the percentage is, but it's more likely to happen than not. And a lot of people, have this. But their body is basically going to attack the fetus, and so they're going to lose the baby. Whoa. So why it's important to do the test is you get a shot during pregnancy to stop that from happening.
Wow.
Yeah. So now to genotypes. There's different types of genotypes. Now, there's hemoglobin A and there's hemoglobin C and there's hemoglobin S. Hemoglobin S is not good because the cells are the wrong shape and it affects circulation.
That's where sickle cell comes in, right?
That exactly. And people who have just hemoglobin S, they are said to have something called sickle cell anemia.
Yeah.
Now, some people have a mixture of hemoglobin A and hemoglobin C, or a mixture of hemoglobin A and hemoglobin S. So if you have hemoglobin A and S, you're AS. If you have just A, you're AA. If you have just C, you could be CC. A lot of people don't know that that's actually a genotype. It's a less common one, but some people are CC. Some people are SC. So they have S, but they have C. Now, A and C are good, right? So people that are SC, they don't get ill all the time, like people who have just S.
Yeah.
They still have some, bone pain, especially I think happens a lot in childhood. But a lot of people who are SC tend to live like relatively, especially if they look after themselves, get checked often, relatively incident free and live, they left
quite a long life.
Exactly. Yeah. Quite a long life. So I had been told that as long as someone is an SS, it's fine. That, that's the knowledge I had, right? And I'm AA, so that means I can literally marry anyone.
Whoever you want. Yeah, same. Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I need to tell you something. This is way before we even start dating. As soon as we knew that we liked each other, he was like, oh, I need to tell you something really important. I'm like, what? He's like, my genotype is SC. I'm like, that's okay, right? Like, you don't have sickle cell anemia. He's like, No, I don't. But technically, I'm on the spectrum, meaning that I do get some symptoms. But no, I'm not. I'm not in and out of hospital. As a matter of fact, my symptoms are much better now that I'm older compared to like when I
When he
was
was
a
younger.
child. So, if I'm being honest, now that I know what I know, because I didn't know this at the time, I can't help thinking maybe like, having regular blood tests or blood transfusions if because I know people who
Mm.
don't wait to have a crisis. They get their blood checked regularly and have a blood transfusion regularly because
Makes
that's one of
sense.
the ways to cope with because what's happening is, you know, when you're when the cells are affecting your circulation, sometimes your organs can suffer
Right.
and bone can suffer as well. That's
Yeah.
why some people have sickle cell anemia.
Mm-hmm.
They need to have hip replacements or have hip surgery or whatever. So one of the ways that people can deal with that is having a blood transfusion.
Right.
But of
Okay.
course
Yeah.
you need to have a hematologist.
Before that could actually
Ex-
happen to
and
actually
your
guide you
hematologist has to
properly,
actually recommend that as a
as
treatment option for you.
rather than
But
just saying that you
but
want
they're
to go
but they're
and
quite hand rather
yeah.
than just going like, oh, I need blood.
Yeah.
You can't just take blood. You might not need it. You need to get tested first. But also, sometimes people are on medication. Some people have like bone marrow transplants. And it looks like things are looking promising. There's some advancement that has been on the news lately, but you just at the back of your mind, you can't help wondering what you could have done better or
Mm.
differently. But he's in hospital, and we think he just needs rest because typically if he's like, oh, I don't feel so good, I think I've done too much.
Mm-hmm.
And bear in mind that the 7 years we were together because we dated for 6 years and we're married for a year. And in that time, maybe he ended up in hospital 3 times.
Mm.
And it was always a couple days or
Nothing at long lengths.
4 days
Yeah,
max. And he would still be like cracking jokes and just
it was
not
fine.
be like gravely ill. So I just didn't have any iota of worry. But also, when someone tells you that I know, I believe that God has healed me,
Mm. You take that on. You hold on to that though, don't you? It's not something
literally.
that you're like, okay, I believe you because I know I believe the same. We serve the same God.
Thank
So
you
the
very
same. So the
much.
same God that has healed you.
Thank
If He
you.
says if you believe that you're healed, then I'm gonna believe you
Who am
too.
I to be a
To question
doubting
that, yeah. Why am I gonna
Thomas?
question that? God is God, so we don't serve
Plus,
different
I live
gods.
with this person. They genuinely look like God has healed them.
Exactly.
They live a pretty normal life.
Yeah,
Like
you're not
he
gonna
he
question
literally
it.
was more active than I was.
Wow.
So like
So when he was in hospital, and a couple of days, what happened
so
then?
literally first day so I mean they did the checks. They should have checked his blood, did chest x-ray, to make sure there wasn't a chest infection. They did it by the book. And you know they said you just need IV fluids, rest, and some pain meds to make you comfortable. And that's what they did. First night I was there. I didn't go back to the hotel. Second night, around 2 a.m., I was like, "Do you know what? Let me go to the hotel, nap, shower, change, come back. I'll be back before you wake up." Now, there was a nurse. The nurse that was assigned to his room, she had come to pray with us. And bear in mind that this person who is ill was speaking in tongues
Hmm.
and praying for like, God knows we're praying for like an hour. And I'm not even exaggerating. There's just like, oh, hold hands. Oh, Father God, we thank you. Nah.
This was real.
Like, it was like
Hmm.
spiritual warfare kind type level prayer. And I'm like, I'm not afraid. Like, I'm not even remotely worried, right? So I'm like, why are we praying? But it wasn't when you're married to someone who like just sometimes just goes into the spirit and is like seriously speaking tongues and praying. You don't question that. You
Yeah, we
go
just
with
go.
it.
Yeah, you just
You
go with
go
it
with
because
it.
that's like
Yeah.
that's in his nature to do that.
So I wasn't. I didn't think anything was. Nothing seemed off that night. Absolutely nothing. And I mean, he didn't tell me anything unless he kept something from me, but absolutely nothing happened. And I remember the nurse saying, "Oh, there's nothing God cannot do. Let's pray, for healing." You know, there's a kind of let's pray for healing that you pray if you feel like someone is terminal. Like that, I feel like that's when people typically say stuff like that. But if someone
So I
has
think
malaria,
if someone say if we pray for healing, it can be for anything.
I
It's
know,
whether
like
it's
I know you
something.
can say so. I know you can say, "Oh, I have a headache. I bind this." Yes, I do that sometimes. That's not what I mean. Like I mean, like when you like just like she literally was reading. She was reading passages. She was
Do you feel like she knew something was up really, but they couldn't say anything? So
I don't know if
in
she
her
if
way of
I don't know if she spiritually felt like
yeah,
something
something
was
was
up.
off. Yeah.
I don't know what it was,
Mm.
but I felt like why are we scabashing? This guy is living here tomorrow. Also, me and him had been like, "Oh, you're getting discharged tomorrow."
Mm.
So I was like,
So when they
he
were
feels
praying,
better.
yeah.
No,
So
I was praying too. Like
yeah.
I'm not
So
like
you were there praying
I'm
with
not
along with
anti.
them as well.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
prayed together.
Mm.
My sister was there as well, and we all prayed. Like
Mm.
we prayed together for a while. Like it was quite a while as well. Like I think we are praying for over an hour. So I was like, it's like
This is different. So after you finish
in
praying, what happened?
retrospect,
Yeah.
maybe I should have been like, is something going on? But it
It
didn't
wouldn't
cross
happen.
my
It's not
mind.
something that you would think of in that point at the moment.
So we pray, and then I go to the hotel nap nap shower and all that. But before I'm done, my phone is ringing and it's the hospital, and I think they're calling me around 5 or 6. So I get a taxi to go back to hospital. But I didn't think anything could be wrong. But I get there and they're like, "Oh, we're sorry," you know. I'm like, "What do you mean you're sorry?" Like, it just nothing could have prepared me for the fact that he had passed away. I was like, I don't get it. I was here a few hours ago, and they're like, "Yeah, he just died in his sleep." I'm like, how? Why? What? I mean, of course, over the next few days, my dad flew in, had to make sure an autopsy was done. There was a lot that happened, but I didn't get the answer I was looking for.
Did you ever find the answer in terms of that his cause of death?
No.
Did they ever? They never tell. They never said.
Oh no, they just said
He just died in his sleep. Just
just
natural
said
causes.
said I didn't sleep, and they said for people who are on the sickle cell spectrum, whether they're SC or they're SS, that they said sometimes. So apparently, it's it's a bit more. They said it could be a bit more dangerous. So this wasn't this hospital telling me this. A hematologist was telling me this after that. It could be a bit more dangerous for someone who has no symptoms because they could be having organ damage or they
And not
could and not
know.
know. So that no symptoms is not a sign that nothing is wrong.
But something is wrong.
It's
But
not a
it's just your
sign.
body's not telling
It's
you.
not a sign that you shouldn't like
Yeah.
that oh you're fine, you're cured.
Mm.
It's not something that you can get cured from, regardless of what your faith is telling you. So saying this to say that yes, I mean yes, I've heard people say that their genotype changed, and they didn't have a bone marrow transplant because that's what a bone marrow transplant essentially does. It changes your genotype because you take somebody else's.
And then you replace it.
Yeah, but I've heard people say, God did it, or not saying that's not possible, but I've also heard that those tests are, especially the kind of tests we used to use back then. So they weren't accurate. So a lot of people, the genotype they think is theirs is not theirs.
Right.
Yes. So it might be worth getting checked again, as an adult, especially if you're thinking of having
Absolutely.
kids or getting married. I think it's something everyone should absolutely do. But God does very creative miracles. So not saying it's not possible, just saying that if you don't have symptoms, it's still worth,
Getting checked out.
And,
So you come to the hospital, you're told that your husband has passed away.
I don't believe it. So I don't shut down yet. I'm literally just like in this like, okay, so this is what we need to do mode. So of course I have to go get my mom.
Was that your moment of you were in the space of denial? That was your denial stage, wasn't
I
it?
think also I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
I was like, excuse me.
We were praying not long ago, so
Yeah, I
you
was
can't
like-
tell me between then and
I'm like,
now
also-
that my husband has passed away. That could not
also,
happen.
this is a child of God.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this is like 2 PKs got married. So even if like we were both like, I mean, yes, we're all sinners because of what Adam and Eve did, but we had accepted Jesus for ourselves. But we also were preachers' children. So
you can't tell me this, that, the
there's
other.
no
basically.
way. Like, what are you talking about? There is no way, because we were raised to believe that as a child of God, some things just do not happen to you. I just tried to burst your bubble, but that is not true. It just isn't. And I'm saying that now. My bubble is almost bursting all over again. Like, I'm getting emotional saying that now because the version of Christianity that we were sold growing up,
questionable. It doesn't give you the
doesn't prepare you for
for
life.
anything. It's just it feels like you are being sheltered. You're being covered, not really seeing what really happens when life happens, and how do you then apply your faith to that? And it's just like, and then when life now happens, you're
so ill prepared.
Yeah, you don't even you can't even think properly. You can't navigate properly because now you're thinking, but I was told this and this is happening.
Yeah.
So is this a lie? Yeah. So essentially, was what I told a lie?
Actually spent, because it took a few days for, because my dad literally flew in like right away, and by the way, the hardest thing was calling his parents to tell them.
Let's talk about that real quickly, because obviously you're on holiday with your family, celebrating your 1-year anniversary. His parents are still back home. Yeah. How did you make that call?
Nothing could have prepared me for, like, also at that point, I still don't think he's dead, right? So I'm just like, look, I had to bring him to hospital 2 days ago, and they're saying he's unresponsive, but I just wanted to keep you in the loop just so you guys can start praying. But I didn't even know he was dead at that point. So
you told them he's non-responsive. So you hadn't actually said that he had passed away because you were still thinking,
because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had passed away. Also, the person that I saw looked asleep. Also, they didn't let me see him for such a long time. Because when I got to the hospital, I think they were trying to resuscitate him or whatever. So they didn't let me in the room. So I make this call thinking, there is no way he's not dead. Yeah. Like, at this point, I'm like, oh, we'll take him to another hospital, or we'll see
second opinion. They can tell me what's actually going on. Like, these guys are not really.
I really do not, like, at that point, my husband's not dead at that point. It just isn't true. So I didn't even call them to say, oh no, he died. I called to say, I don't understand what's going on here, but I needed to call you guys to let you know. Obviously, I called my dad as well. And I told my dad the same thing. I was like, look, they
He's
say he's
non-responsive.
unresponsive, but I don't understand what's going on. Obviously, I had to go bring my mom to hospital because she had gone to the hotel as well too. Because again, he's fine, right?
Yeah.
You know, like if you have like malaria and you're in hospital,
Yeah, you can.
your family are not like at your bedside keeping vigil, waiting for you to wake up like you're in some coma, right? They spend like the whole time with you, but they're not afraid to leave because they don't think anything's gonna happen to you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's how nothing's gonna happen.
I say I tell my mom because also we couldn't all, even if we were gonna stay, we couldn't all stay, right? So I had to go get my mom from the hotel, and oh no, she does not take it well. My mom gets to the hospital and she sees her and she's rolling on the floor, like she's wiping herself with the floor, and I still don't believe it. So I'm just like, Mom, please get up. We're going to pray. Can we just go, please? And then they're like, oh, they have to take him away. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, they have to take him to the morgue. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was still not phased because, excuse me, Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead when he had been dead and smelly for 3 whole days. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Do what you need to do. As a matter of fact, I told the morgue attendant, I was like, he's going to wake up. Keep an eye on him. I was so sure, like so certain.
Because everything you had been taught, everything you had believed, everything you had prayed was like, nah, God, like what God said,
Yep.
and now I'm like, yo, but God, you said that you can raise.
So obviously it was going to take a few days, for them to, be able to fly the body home and everything. Incidentally, one of his much older cousins who was in Dubai with his family at the time. So it was he and my dad who, had to go and do all the identifying the body and all that stuff. I was just stuck in the room praying, because like I didn't move, I didn't eat, I didn't shower, I didn't sleep, just kept praying because there's no way he's not going to wake up.
So when did it finally hit you that he's not coming back?
We came back to Nigeria. Unfortunately, at some point, the news hits the internet.
Before you even had time to process.
Before I had time to tell his friends. Before I had time to process.
So someone gave the info out before we.
I mean, I don't think the person did it to be mean, because to be fair, they had. I mean, his family and his work were planning a funeral, right? So they had to tell the church, and once the church knows,
I understand that, but I mean, it's something that the family needs to know before everybody else knows.
No, I mean the family knew.
Okay, so it was just then the public.
It was just friends,
that
didn't know. I think also I was in denial, so I wasn't gonna pick up the phone and tell anyone that. Also, I thought he was gonna wake up. Still believed it, even though at this point they're planning a funeral, and then my dad, he calls me and he's like, "Oh, we need to have a funeral." I'm like, "No, I'm not ready. I'm not doing that." And my dad literally is begging me. He's like, "Look, his parents just want to put this behind them."
So did you go to the funeral? Well, not did you go? Obviously, you were there at the funeral.
There was no way in hell
Did
that
you?
I was going to miss that.
So at the funeral, did it then dawn on you then that this is it?
I think at the point where, because I went to the funeral home with my pastor and my siblings and my dad.
Still hoping to think that he was going to wake up.
We went to raise the dead.
Yeah.
Craziest thing I think I've ever done in my life. And I think what is even more crazy is that my dad was like, he was there with me, like casually.
To support you, yeah, because I mean, you're his daughter.
Yeah, like, we're really here to raise the dead.
Yeah, he's going to support you in all possible ways, but obviously, it's just his way of supporting you through the grief because you need to process this. So
So at the funeral, I think at the point where they put him in the ground, I think that's when like so we had the service of songs the day before, and um I I fell apart at some point during that service, but I still was just like, yeah, he's gonna wake up.
mm,
The funeral day, I kept looking. I was like, he has to get out of that thing. Like, why is he in that box? And they put him in the ground, and I think that was when like I really, really like really fell into a million pieces.
mm,
And then, as soon as they did that, we were leaving the graveside, and I stopped in my tracks. I was like, "Hang on, it's not like I can do this again tomorrow. I'm not leaving. I want to go back." And they're like, "Oh no, you can't go now. We'll come back later." I don't know whether they thought I was gonna jump into the grave or something, but I just finally realized that I think it's that I started clocking that
so this is
something is wrong here, and he hasn't gotten the chance to wake up. But I still just thought, wasn't Lazarus in a grave when Jesus raised him? And then I went home. Yeah, oh no, I held on to that delusion for a while, and it, I mean, as time passed, I realized he wasn't coming back, and it, the grief, started to hit me in bits, and it was a very rough like journey, but
how
going
many
through
years?
that,
How many years did it take you from when you finally buried him to obviously knowing that, okay, I need to move on? How many years was that? Did it take you?
move on like what?
As in, like, obviously moving on with life,
Like rejoin society as a fully
functioning
functioning
human
member of
being and
society.
potentially finding love again. How many years was that?
No, you see that find love again. That was that was much later.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I warned people not to even bring it up with me. I told my pastor point blank, please don't bring this up with me. I told anyone. I told my mom. I told anyone. I was like, I don't want to hear about this remarry nonsense for
So,
5 years. Please don't.
so how
bring
many how many years did it take you to like get over this grief, to process?
So this is the thing I tell people. You never finish processing grief. So technically I'm still processing my grief.
Okay.
You process it in like in bits and in stages, and um for some people after like 3 months they're ready to rejoin society. Like
And others
by
it takes longer,
rejoin
yeah.
society I mean take a shower, wear proper clothes,
Mm.
comb your hair. But it took me a lot longer to get to that stage. I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to my friends and my family. They really, really, really rallied around me and really took turns to sit with me
Mm.
and to, you know, the people who had their own businesses spend time with me during the week, and the people who had to go to their 9 to 5s, spend time with me during the weekend, and we would just sit and watch TV and you know,
Which actually leads me to a really important question because I had it written down. You're at this point you were a young widower in your 20s. Nobody should ever have to go through that. It's
Yeah.
funny because I remember my mum became a widow at the age of 30
Mm,
with 4 kids.
mm, mm.
4 kids, new country.
Oh Lord,
Yeah.
that's a
So
rough one. That new country one.
that's, yeah.
And
4 kids, widow at 30.
Because at least if you're in
and
Nigeria, you have family,
you have
right?
family.
To live
She didn't
your
have that
kids
much.
with.
So, yeah.
Woo!
So my thing is, what do you say to people when how do they support others when they've lost someone? Like, what are the things to do? Because people do a manner of crazy things, but as someone who's experienced it and kind of like know what works, what is
One
it?
of the
What would you
most
tell people?
important things is please don't say nonsense.
Hmm.
Please don't say garbage things. Please don't just open your mouth and blab crap. Um, someone came to visit. Um, and I can't thank my parents enough for this because I don't know what would have become of me for real.
Mm.
But as soon as we came back from the trip, I went straight to my parents' house. As a matter of fact, I mean, people process their grief differently, but I never went back to our house. I couldn't.
Mm.
And again, I have to thank my cousins and my siblings because they went, because our lease was up. So,
Mm.
and shout out to my landlord wherever he is, because he gave me like, what, 3 months before he called to say, what do you want to do? And my siblings and my cousins, they went with a moving van, put all our stuff together and took it. But I couldn't go back to the house.
Mm.
But for some people, they process differently. I was staying at my parents' house. So someone had come to visit my parents and me, obviously, condolences and all that. And she asked me, this is a full grown woman. I know she meant well, but you just really need to be, you can't
Mindful
just
of what you
talk
say.
anyhow.
Mm.
She's like, oh, do you have any kids? I said, no. She said, oh, thank God. I'm sorry, what? You what?
That's not really the best thing to say to someone who's after just losing their.
Here's the thing. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost an opportunity to have children with that person. I'm never getting that back. Why on God's green earth would you think that is something to celebrate?
Mm.
I don't understand. Thank God as a Zao. Like, come on.
Mm.
Yeah. But trust me, I've heard worse things. Much worse. One woman who thought she was my mom's friend, I think they grew up together or whatever, came to our house and was telling me about how, oh, this was the devil at work and the devil was trying to I'm just like, ma'am, stop it. This is not the time or the place.
Mm.
I think I was too numb to even say anything. I was just like, okay, I just nodded. But you really need to be careful what you are saying.
Mm.
But so don't say nonsense. But more than not saying nonsense is, providing support. The way you can provide support for someone is sometimes they don't want to rehash the details of how that person died.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to. Also, I don't know, regardless of whenever you visit, they've probably, said, told that story over and over again. So maybe try not to make them relive it, one. But I think also try to focus on things that will help them. So make sure they're eating, they're sleeping. They're not going to have a lot of appetite, but try and bring small meals, small snacks to them. Make sure that you shield them from people who are going to, just stress them out mentally and emotionally.
Mm.
And, I'm sorry to bring this up, but this is such an unfortunate statistic. But, and again, this isn't an African thing, unfortunately. I have found out since, starting my support group that a lot of people who lose their spouses, unfortunately, women tend to get the shorter end of the stick, but I can't even start to minimize the hell that men go through as well. But the fact that people, they abandon this person, they accuse them. Sometimes it's even their in-laws. A lot of times it's their in-laws accusing them
Of things, yeah.
of killing their spouse or being
Which
happy
is
their spouse is
such an
gone.
ignorant thing to say. It's
Look,
such a
let's not.
backward. There's so much I could
We
say.
can't
We
get
could say
into
about
this
that.
one.
Yeah, there's a lot we could say about that, and it's
Yeah,
something
but
that I
that's
wanted
something that I think if you can shield them from that sort of thing,
yeah.
if you can make sure that they have legal support, emotional support,
Mm-hmm.
they would never forget you in their life ever. That those things are so vital, and that's the kind of support I provide for people who, you know, who are members of FLIT, who join FLIT, who reach out and say, oh, I just lost my husband. Or sometimes people say, oh, my cousin's husband died. Could you please speak to her? Could you please, offer her support? You know, and it's many different layers, you know. Sometimes people even feel like their church has abandoned them, you know. And I know a lot of churches don't mean to do this,
but they need to be equipped in such a way to help with bereavement.
they
basically,
really need they need
they
to
need
do
FLIT.
better.
Basically, they need FLIT in as part of their bereavement services to
They
be
do.
able to
They do,
deal
because
with.
I feel like they're not like, how do you say, they don't realize some things, you know. Sometimes the way they even set up some of the activities at church, you know, the way they're like, oh, you're either single or married.
What about in between? What about the divorce? What about the widowers?
Yeah, like what are they supposed to do? They don't deserve.
And I think this is why I'm going to shout my church for this, because they are very big on, because I think there was at one point where there was just like, you look after the singles, you look after the married. What about those who are divorced? What about those who are widowed? What about those who are separated? What's for them? And then they created a service where, called Restore, talking about bereavement, talking about, divorce and all these things in between with partners and stuff. And a lot of people have benefited from that.
Yeah, because it's so important. And I have to shout out
Liberty Church, by the way. That's my church.
yeah,
So just so they know. Yeah.
I have to shout out Fountain of Life for this thing as well, because they have, they have support. And God rest his soul, I have to shout out the visionary and the amazing man that was Pastor Taiwo Dukoya. When my husband passed away, my pastor said, how can I help? I said, I want only one thing from you. I want to sit down with Pastor Taiwo Dukoya. I don't care how you make it happen, but I want to sit down with him. And bear in mind that neither of us knew him at this point. We just knew of him. And I think he was the only person who I knew that was, a child of God, that didn't let losing his spouse break him. He didn't fall into like a million gazillion pieces. And I think having that conversation with him, like, it really changed my life. And I think he was the first person who said, you will get married again. I think maybe the first person who said it that I was willing to listen to, because everyone else, I was like, what do you know? Please get out of my face. But he was like, you will get married again. As a matter of fact, he said, you must.
You must get married again.
You're too young. He's like, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? He's like, what are you going to do with all these feelings and all these emotions and all these urges? Where do you think they're going to go to? They're not going anywhere. They're not going to suddenly disappear. And I was like, you what? God doesn't take them away when he takes your spouse? Why not? And that was such a learning curve as well. And, just waking up and, just knowing your life is forever changed.
But yeah, from there, which is I mean, to be honest, I think I feel like we're going to do a part 2 of this, because there's so many layers to grief. There's so many layers to, especially as a widow, someone who's young, married, and then next thing you know, you're their partners. I feel like we're going to need to do a part 2 of this. And I think what's great about FLIT is, or where you are currently, is helping those in grief, helping those overcome grief, how to process it. And how to know that there is more. There's life after grief. It's just how you manage it and how you how you manage and process it through life. So and I think more people need to know about FLIT. Like, we need to get FLIT to the place where, like, look. And I think to be comfortable, especially as Africans, we don't talk
about stuff like that.
We don't like to talk about things because we don't think death is going to happen.
That's one of the reasons that I started FLIT. I was like, this, hush hush, it's not helping anybody.
Yeah, we need to talk about it. And I think this is very important about FLIT. And this is why, like, speaking to you is great because, yes, I know you're a lawyer, but I think this part for humanity is important.
Yeah.
It's so much important
Yeah,
for
I
humanity in terms of,
100% agree.
dealing with grief. So how can people find out more about FLIT, and how can people get in touch with you to talk about their grief?
So I'm on Instagram at flakes_ff. So that's just flakes like cornflakes _ F and F again.
Mm-hmm.
And FLIT is at finding light in the tunnel. So just finding light in the tunnel, just as you would write it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you send me a message, and I would respond. I would probably see the message to my personal account quicker.
Mm-hmm.
We're also we're on WhatsApp with FLIT, and so if you want to join our community, just reach out.
We can put a link in the description for the
reach
link
out,
for the community link for
I need to
WhatsApp.
do one of those community things.
Yeah,
'Cause right
just put
now
it
we
together.
just have a group.
Community is better. It's
Yeah.
so good. So we'll put all the details for the community link join in in the description box so that you can follow.
I just wanted to do a quick shout out to all the people that are members of FLIT at the moment. I was actually going to post this in the group today, but great news! Someone got married. I'm so happy. Like she sent me a message, to say she got married.
Amazing.
We're so happy for her, and and I can't wait, for more, people to get married.
Yeah, because there is life, there is love. There, should you choose to open yourself up to it.
If you choose to, because some people decide they don't want to. Speaking of which, I can't get off the seat without telling you guys that I got married again.
She did. To a great man.
And I feel like we need to do a whole part to get into that.
We do. And I think, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get both of you back in here again so that we can hear from his side how he had to...
That would be epic.
How he dealt with that and, just getting with someone, because there's so much to it. There is so much to it. So, I've said it. I'm getting them back in again, both of them on the couch, and talk about how they got together and the story for that.
I should say at this point that as human beings, we have we make plans or we say, oh, I'm not going to do this before this, or I don't want to do this before this. I find that sometimes when we do that, we're limiting God.
Yep.
Because I thought there was no way on this earth that I could marry somebody else before the 5-year mark. Actually, no. I thought there was no way I could even consider dating, not marry, because that's a far away from even dating. I thought there was no way I could open my heart to somebody, or to the possibility, actually, not even to somebody. I thought there was no way that I could even just allow someone
to come to your life. It's one of those things God, you think that never could happen. But
God was looking at me and probably laughing at me because I mean, yes, everything did happen within that 5-year mark.
Yes,
but that was me meeting the person, us becoming friends, us dating, us getting married. So it wasn't the timeline I thought, because I thought maybe I'll get married like 10 years down the line or something. And then, you also keep thinking, I need time to recover. I need to do this. So
you need time. You need time to do a lot of things. But if you just keep procrastinating with it, it will never happen. So it's just kind of move. So Folakemi, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the conversation we've had today. Absolutely phenomenal. Again, coming back. She's coming back because we need to get a part 2 of this, because I think it's great. So check in the description box on how to finding light in the tunnel, all the links to the IG and to the WhatsApp community as well. And if you've been affected by anything that we've spoken about, there's some links for some services that can help you as well, because we all need the help. We all need help and guidance when we're dealing with grief or some type of bereavement. So check the links in the box. And for me, you'll be seeing me on another episode of Taking Up Space. Thank you so much. Make sure you do the dutiful Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you're new and you loved what you hear today, subscribe. Continue to comment.
Subscribe.
Exactly. Continue to engage.
Like, share, comment.
Yeah, share it with your friends that, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel and you can find love again after bereavement. So until next time, I will see you and God bless.
Bye.
Thank you.